As you noticed in the comic, mentees go through a range of experiences through an average day that affects their state of mind, their behavior, and their skills. It is important for us as mentors to be empathetic to fully understand the scope of factors that may be impacting our mentees. Let us take a deeper look at all the potential traits a young adult could exhibit. These can be emotionally, behaviorally, or physiologically exhibited. It is important to note that we do not intend to stereotype mentees and say that they exhibit all these traits. Our intention is to provide you with an in-depth understanding of a broad range of factors across several mentee populations we have worked with. What did you notice first in the comic? Did you see the cramped living arrangement with up to 5 members all living in the same 150 to 200 square feet of space? Most of our mentees live in houses which are kacha or semi-paka, constructed of mud, tin sheet, and only in a few rare cases with proper materials like bricks. They have little private space and spend most time in close proximity of their family members. How would you feel in such living conditions? For most of us, such a shared living environment would be a big adjustment from our own homes. When you reach out to your mentee for meetings or to speak to them, remember that these physical environments could make your mentee hesitant to share a lot of things openly. It may also make your mentee conscious to tell you about their home. Be respectful. Don't push them to tell you about their home or family. Show that you are non-judgmental and open in your mindset and communications. This will help a mentee gradually become comfortable in your presence and in sharing more about these things with you. What's the next thing you noticed? Did you list out the argument between the parents? How would you feel if you were the mentee? Observing daily strife and tension between parents, and in some cases, physical violence, can have a very debilitating effect on a young person. They may feel confused, sad, angry, and possibly think that they are responsible for these fights. As we mentioned in the roles of a mentor, mentees who have relationships with adults that are marred by disappointment and a lack of healthy communication may form negative perspectives of adult relationships. They may begin to expect all relationships to be similar. How do you think this can impact you? As a new adult in their life, it is very likely that a mentee is untrusting of you initially. They are wary of being hurt and disappointed and have their defenses up. It is very important as a mentor to not take such behavior personally and think that the mentee is rejecting you. A mentee may want to test you out to see if you are worthy of trust. The only way for a mentor to break a previously held negative perception is to build a relationship of consistency and reliability with a mentee. One of the next things you may have noticed is that after witnessing the fight between her parents, the mentee goes outside and is asked by her sister for a small help. What did she respond with? Did you note that the mentee lashed out and seemed to mirror what she saw inside her house? You're right. The mentee's response to her sister was in no way appropriate to the situation and demonstrated a level of emotional immaturity. Adolescence is a period of a lot of physical changes, and this brings with it emotional volatility. Your mentee will have mood swings which can affect their relationships, including theirs with you. Mentors often get confused when they find their mentee very excited to speak with them or meet with them one day, and then disinterested another time. Again, don't take it personally and blame your mentee for such behavior. Be patient and respectful of their time and space. And be consistent yourself. Do not respond to a volatility on their end with corresponding volatility in your behavior. Bad mentors show enthusiasm when their mentees are enthusiastic and become cold and detached when their mentees are low. This will aggravate the problems for you and further harm your relationship. As we discussed in roles of a mentor, emotional management is a trait that several mentees may not have on their own. Poor emotional management means attaching incorrect or inappropriate reactions to the wrong events. Our mentees' reactions to events will be disproportionate to the actual event happening. Building a strong relationship with your mentee will help mentors over time coach mentees to manage their relationships better. Mentors who take the emotional coaching stance often do the following activities. They are more aware of the mentee's emotions and their own emotions. They validate and verbally label the mentee's feelings. They discuss ways in which mentees can tackle negative emotions. They discuss ways to show positive emotions even in times of difficulty. As our mentee prepared to go to school, some of you may have noticed that the mentee's grandmother packed additional food for the mentee's brother. There are two aspects here, both the lack of sufficient nourishment and the gender discrimination faced by the mentee. The quality of parenting, nourishment, and care that our mentee receives during their childhood and adolescence directly affects cognitive skills like vocabulary, memory, and concept formation. Children from low-income families typically enter formal education and other learning environments with a great deficit. In a study carried out in the United States, a group of researchers enter the homes of families from different socioeconomic backgrounds to assess the ways in which daily exchanges between a parent and child shaped language and vocabulary development. Their findings showed marked disparities between the sheer number of words spoken as well as the types of messages conveyed. After 4 years, children from high-income families had been exposed to 30 million more words than children from families on welfare support. Follow-up studies showed that these differences in languages and interaction experiences had a lasting effect on a child's performance later in life. Additionally, our mentee also faced gender-based discrimination that is quite common across many community contexts in India. As we discussed in the roles of a mentor, a young person's self-worth is greatly impacted by others' perceptions of their skills and capabilities. Mentees who face such discrimination regularly that undermines their worth in comparison to others develop a sense of low self-esteem. They may be passive in many contexts, not believing their ideas and expressions to have any value. They may also be indecisive and sensitive to criticism. These will be beliefs that they carry over to the mentoring relationship. One of the most important roles of a mentor is to affirm the many positive traits in each mentee. Such affirmation and validation of the good that exists in each child will help in slowly building self-esteem. As our mentee and her sister were on their way to school, you may have listed that the mentee's sister had to use a field to relieve herself. The lack of basic and essential physical infrastructure, like toilets, can present a very big challenge for young girls, especially as they grow up and mature. In both urban and rural India, over 50% of adolescent girls lack access to adequate sanitation facilities. Some 23% of girls drop out of school on reaching puberty due to a lack of facilities for them to manage their menstruation.